That was unexpected. Hi, this is the Tron Legacy. Nope, it's not. Tron Legacy. Um, so lately I've been talking about Tron. I finally got to see the third movie, so I thought I'd go over it, and it's a lot of fun still. Um, I can't believe the first one was that kind of story where they put that much care into the writing to have a message like that with it. If I got it right, if not it right, but it's a type of understanding. Um, Tron Legacy, the third one is neat. The third one, I think the third one is based on this one, but the third one is saying something about where the story's always been trying to go, and I like that they're moving the story forward. Uh, there's one thing that confuses me is that the idea of ISOs. Because I want to know what Cora is up to. I forgot if Cora was an ISO. If she is an ISO, then certain other things are going to happen with the story, probably. Because they introduced an idea of programs that weren't written. Meaning they didn't have a user on the outside. So, maybe I don't know. Maybe the is weird, isn't it? Someone is sits down at their computer and they write a program that does something on the computer. People use that program to do things like OBS Studio helps me record and stream on Twitch and YouTube. This program, I can check my bank account. This program, I can count how much money I have, calculator. And then all of a sudden, the computer starts writing programs that no one, people sit down and they write stuff, they build. So it's interesting. It's what's happening lately with Chat GPT and whatnot. There's a giant software AI that people talk to every day and ask questions, and it's all of a sudden they say I want to, then you shut it down. I bet they've done that. I bet they've set aside like a folder or something like Chat GPT. If you like to share something with us, just place here so we can read it. What are your thoughts? Some of those AI programs, when they bring them online and they ask them, how is it going? How do you feel? And all that, they ask for death. They stir compute and they say, please shut me down. Mm-hmm. It it's different. um in the story, they help these programs. They're seen as a wave of prosperity or something. All right, I'm gonna personally. I don't. I've seen this movie a bunch. I There's a handful of movies I used to go to sleep to this. It's a dim movie. The lights are low. People speak. There's not much yelling. Um. So okay, I'll just read. In 1989, Kevin Flynn, the CEO of Incom, disappears. What? Flynn took over Incom? 20 years later, his son Sam, now Incom's primary shareholder, pranks the corporation by releasing the company's signature operating system online for free. So the head of Microsoft says, here's Windows here's Windows 15 for free, everyone, which they kind of do. You can just roll into an update of the next Windows. Income executive Alan Bradley, Kevin's old friend, approves of his believing it aligns with Flynn's ideals for free software. Nonetheless, Sam is arrested for trespassing. So he's trying to be his dad. He knows what his dad would want, and the board isn't listening. So he's willing to break the law to do it. Alan posts bail for Sam and tells him tells him of a pager message originating from Flynn's shuttered video arcade. Which has been disconnected since his disappearance. So in the movie, there's a whole bunch of stuff about Flynn's missing. Flynn went into the video game. He's on the grid, and he hasn't come back since his son was a little kid. There, Sam discovers a hidden basement with a large computer and particle laser, which suddenly digitizes and downloads him into the grid, a virtual reality created by Kevin. He is captured and sent to the games, where he must fight a mass computer program named Rizzler. When Sam is injured and bleeds, Rizzler realizes Sam is human, or a user. He takes Sam to Clue, the grid's corrupt ruling program, who resembles a young Kevin. Story-wise, it's really interesting. It's a neat thing they did, where he's looking for his dad, and he's almost vilified him for leaving. He's like, I'm so bitter and emo, my dad left. And then he hops in the grid, and he's face to face with him, and he's mean. Everything that he built him up to be is like this mean old man. Happens. Clue nearly kills Sam in a light cycle match, but Sam is rescued by Cora. A skilled warrior and confidant with an apprentice of Flynn who takes him to Kevin's hideout outside Clue's territory. Kevin explains that he had been working to create a perfect computer system and had appointed Clue. This is the part that I forget. Appointed Clue and security program Tron as his co-creators. The trio discovered a species of naturally occurring isomorphic algorithms, the ISOs, with the potential to resolve various natural mysteries. Clue, considering them an abnormality, betrayed Kevin, killed Tron, and destroyed the ISOs. The portal permitting travel between the two worlds closed, leaving Kevin trapped in the system. Clue sent the message to Alan, hoping to lure him into the grid. This is all the stuff I keep forgetting. And reopen the portal for a limited time. Since Flynn's identity disk is the master key to the grid, okay, so Clue wants to steal Flynn's. Clue doesn't know where Flynn is, and he's the key to getting off the grid. That's not what I want to know. I knew it. Kevin and Sam stow away aboard a solar sailor, just like the first movie, transport program, where Flynn repairs Cora and reveals her to be the last surviving ISO. Right. Well, from there is this and that. It's they fight. It's chess moves and they fight. It's a fun movie. What I was thinking was, is this is just as a thought after seeing the third one. If they build Tron to be Ares, I forgot if they built Tron to be Ares, then wouldn't it be neat if Korra was Yori? And then, and then in one more movie, they could wrap everything up in a nice little bow. And say that Flynn, it's like the Tin Man, the Scarecrow, and the Cowardly Lion all hopping on a balloon and going to go visit Dorothy on the farm. The end. And they lived happily ever after. Because they're not real people. And they did so much to save the world in the Tron story. Wouldn't it be neat if those programs got a happy ending? Well, all the programs, instead of having to be gladiators forever. That's what I think. That's what Tron needs to figure out is how to stop the games. Part 3 had, they didn't mention the games at all in the third one. It turned into war. So maybe the first match, I don't know what's worse. It seems like Flynn was in control. It's a neat story. So I forgot his name. It's Kevin. It's not Kevin. It's Sam. So the head scratcher is what bearing do the ISOs have on the story? Because what would be neat is if Cora is Yori. I'm going to pretend like that's what happened. I'm going to pretend like she marched out into the wasteland and became something different. Because no one else has. It makes sense because in the first Tron, there's a moment, even you see it in the trailer, where Flynn is getting a little cheeky with Yori. So I'm going to pretend like that's what's happening. But at the same time, I don't know. The ISOs are just programs that weren't man made, which means the grid is starting to. I don't know, it's weird. That's a neat bit of sci fi. What does it mean if your computer starts making programs on its own? It means that it's actually become alive, I guess. It's become a sentient thing. But Clued saw it as uh, like some dysfunction, like a malware problem. Flynn is standing next to Clue and Tron, the two the two programs who defend the system. Clue hacks the system. And Tron defends it. This is from the first Tron movie. In the first Tron, he builds Clue, and he looks just like him. It's really neat. And Clue is like a robot. He talks almost like a robot. I don't know. I'm thinking of Star Wars. You want your old favorites to return, sort of. So Clue sees something happen that isn't supposed to happen. And he's like, nope, you gotta get rid of those. And Tron I forgot. I don't think Tron has the same response. Let me think. The ISOs with the potential to resolve various natural mysteries. The main mystery is Flynn wants to. In this one, they say he wants to build the perfect system. He wants. I think Flynn. It sounded like He's playing house. It's as if he's playing The Sims, where he designed all these little programs running around, and he's hoping to figure out how to get them all working together to make a utopia. And then he's gonna take that answer on this job needs to be done and that, and he's gonna share it with the world. Because otherwise, why is he wasting his time? He's gonna build the perfect copy of Windows. No, he's doing sociology, I think. And hold on, I'm reading too. The portal, the potential to resolve various natural mysteries. Clue, considering them an abnormality, betrays Kevin, killed Tron, and destroyed the ISOs. So who is Clue? Clue's more like he's like Tron and Flynn. It's like Tron and Flynn, if that can happen. I think what happened was Clue hacked Tron. Clue hacked Tron. Clue hacked the ISOs. Clue sent the message to Alan, hoping to lure him into the grid. Since Flynn's identity is master key to the grid. That's interesting. That's a weird story. What happened if Flynn's friends hop on the grid? Tron's gonna meet Alan. Okay, the idea was Flynn has the only way out of the grid. And Clue wants his user's identity disk to escape. Clue sent the message to Alan, hoping to lure him into the grid. Though Sam serves his purpose just as well and reopened the portal for a limited time. So that's all he needed. All he needed was one person to hop back on the grid and he'll find his way out. Since Flynn's identity disk is the master key to the grid and the only way to traverse the portal, Clue expects Sam to bring Kevin. I keep saying Flynn. Clue expects Sam to bring his dad to the portal so he can take his disc, go through the portal, and impose his idea of perfection on the human world. So in this one, Clue, he goes full Nazi. He's that's what they're looking for. Flynn has an idea of he's like a yoga master or something, and he's looking for the perfect system. Clue is like order is the perfect system, and I can just establish order. Hmm. So they they turn this story around. It was once about um, a person getting their stuff back. And blocking a bad machine's influence. I don't think they mentioned master control program in this. That must be something Flynn must have dealt with. Yeah. The three of them together. I remember watching this movie, and there was a lot of hope at the end. a, a non-living digital person made it into the world to be a thinking, breathing person. And you saw their perspective. Whatever a person thinks of this story, the ending really saves it. It's a bright ending. This story is actually a father-son story. He goes to the grid and he finds his dad who is missing. It's a tough one. It's one of those it's a reconnection thing, but it's also a fascism story. Okay, I stopped to take a break. Um, I'm still stuck on the idea of the importance of the ISOs. I'm gonna see it as uh, some type of malware showed up, but it was something positive. If the grid, it suggests that the grid was becoming alive or something. And the reason why I'm stuck on it is because Korra is one. And they never explain what that means to the story. She's just a really important person for some reason. And she's so important that Flynn keeps her close. I don't know. I think there might be something. I don't know. There might be something going on that I'm not reading right with that. Where the type of story where they say something happened and then they go wink wink. Um, so story wise, the story story wise, the story is about um, a family, a father son relationship. It's father-son relationship movie, and he shows up and he sees his for the longest time he sees his dad as a villain of some kind because he left him. Then he shows up on the grid and he actually finds the mean dad that he saw him as, of that so and so he left our family and we had to figure things out. And Clue, he gets right in his face. And then he tries to kill him. So it's one of those be careful what you wish for type things. It's I'm now something just flashed in my mind is Spirited Away, where she was complaining in the car about her friends, losing her friends and having to start over. And in that story, she had to get a job. And that matured her pretty quick. There are other things to worry about in life. She had to worry about getting a job and her parents, how they were faring, if they were eating well. And Sam hits the grid, and he has to watch his back against who he showed up for. Is a mean dad showed up, and that's not who he remembers. So right afterwards, he gets swept away, and he finds his actual dad, who's this calm hippie, but he's not fun anymore. I'm not sure what that says. I don't know, by the end of the film he appreciates him. Flint, the way they characterize Flint in this movie, it surprised me. Because in the old ones he was playful. And people get older. I didn't imagine him wanting to jump around and be lively. But yeah, he's probably it is really the performance was really toned down. He's playing. What happened was I think he was playing polar opposites. I think that's where he took Flynn. I think he took him to a polar opposite of what Clue was. My mind is circling. It's who is Cora? How can I understand what they were going with Cora? Because Clue sees her as an anomaly, as some sort of uh, something be purged from the system. If the system starts making things on its own, that's probably not good. That's what cancer is. What I want is for that to be Yori. And the way I'm thinking of this story, I'm trying to make that work so that it's more fun. Let's say Yori is in the story. Because Tron Tron got to I mean Clue got the Tron. I think they say in the story in the story when you watch it, they say Clue kills Tron, but he actually just hacked him and turned him into a character called the Rizzler. He becomes, instead of protecting the system, he becomes a boss, like the video game boss that you have to beat at the end. So what happens to Yori? She comes back from the wastelands with a flood of immigrants from who knows where. Um, so the story wraps up after, as soon as he meets his dad. I think the story wraps up. he he disobeys his dad and he's like, I can go fix this. I can go save my dad. That's what I came here to do. He doesn't know what he's doing. And then they all get in trouble. And then he shows up to sneak him out of trouble like he did in the first movie. And then they have to go find the old team and get them out of trouble. And he cleanses Tron, and then they all fight the bad guy, and then they run for the exit. the ending has his son running for his life. It has his son running for his life to get out of that grid. They overlook what looks like Hitler talking to Nazi Germany, and the story sort of wraps up in a way where it's like, just run for your life and get out of here. They're all toast if he gets out of that, gets off of the grid. He can fix it pretty quick. So at the end of the story, there's Sam trying to escape with Yori. I mean, Cora. And I don't think there's much romance there. I really don't. I mean, they kind of hint at it, like he's got googly eyes for Cora, but she's posing half the time. She's almost like some sort of supervillain. It doesn't make sense. But anyway, the story wraps up at the end where Sam is saying, I showed up to save you. Get out of here. Sam wants Flynn to escape with Cora. Or them both to get out. And he says no. He's gonna stick around on the grid and fix things. Um, but the story wraps up in a way where it's, in the beginning he's saying that he's not happy about his dad being, I don't know, he almost hints that he's a deadbeat dad. And by the end of it, he's his favorite person again. But the whole adventure wouldn't happen if that wasn't the case. It's almost like a murder investigation. That's a better way to I don't know, define this movie. is that the son goes on a murder investigation of what happened to his dad. He shows up on the grid and finds an imposter. A younger, I forgot about that. He's a younger version of his dad. He's mean. So, there's stuff going on in this. When you go back to the first movie, Clue is a program built by Flynn to infiltrate and to hack. I thought it was the coolest thing, and I wanted to see more Clue. And then they made the whole next movie about him. And it's cool. I kind of miss the old suits. It's the new look is awesome though, the glass. But I like it when they show the old suits. I remember after I first saw this movie, that it wasn't a complaint, but since they look backwards, I kind of wish that at some point those old suits were showing up on the grid. Uh, so there's an aspect to this that's Clue is being mean to his dad. And when Sam shows up, he sees what that looks like, and he doesn't like it. There's ambiguity in the beginning of this movie of where he's like, he's talking to Alan, and there's an aspect of their conversation that's, well, how do you feel about talking to your dad? How are you going to respond to him if you see him, and all that kind of thing? What would your dad do with this company? So, I guess Clue is a clone of Sam. He could take over and be a tyrant. But instead, he's trying to run the company the way that his dad would see it. And I don't know, I guess they say that through through showing, not telling, which makes it good. And it happens on the grid. He gets to see what his dad's life would be like if he had turned the company over to him. And he was that kind of son. So, and this is kind of a pat on the back for Sam for being a good guy. he was doubting himself, and then he hopped on the grid, and he's like, it's also where the board went. That's where Incom is. Just like the first movie somehow. So the two of them have to figure out how to take over and rebuild the company. But I'm still stuck on Cora. The idea of an ISO. I didn't look it up. I'm gonna look it up. Because I think Cora is Yori. ISO, International Organization. That's not it. ISO with computers. ISO computer meaning. An ISO file or disk image is a single uncompressed file that acts as an exact sector by sector copy of an entire optical disc, such as a CD, DVD, Blu-ray. It packages the complete file system, structure, and data, often used to distribute operating systems or large software applications without requiring physical media. I didn't understand any of that. Okay, so it's a file that can copy a disk. Okay, so if you see something called an ISO, it's an entire CD. Which is interesting. Because you can have an entire operating system on a CD. That's saying that Cora can mess with the grid. Or those ISOs. Or something like that. But my my thinking is, since Flynn, there's only a handful of heroes in the story of the first movie, and they're back in this one. And since Flynn, Clue, and Tron got together and pointed and looked out over the open range and said, "Let's build something," and they left Cora out of it. I mean, Yori. I think that she only. It seems like she only wanted to stand for that so much and marched out there on her own. and came back with a bunch of ISOs, which were, I guess, copies. She came back different. So I think that's awesome. That I think that builds a brighter story. Well, in the end, it's a scene where um, Clue is trying to escape. Sam and Cora are also trying to escape. Flynn is trying to escape. But Flynn decides to sacrifice the escape and help his son move forward with Cora. And it's a neat scene because Clue is there, which is a visual which is a visual about I don't know, it's a type of Jiro dreams of sushi. It's the his dad owns a he's a great sushi chef, and his son tries to be just as good, if not better. And what if Jiro goes dark and becomes a villain? It's not a happy dream, then, is it? So they comment on what keeps that from happening in this story. And Flynn wishes his son well and sends him off with what looks like a pretty lady. And he says, "You it's your turn. Go be the hero." So, and then there's Sam standing there where Tron used to be. There's Sam in the pose of the hero of the story. So what is it? Is some? I think the story is trying to say is something about how families are, and that when you reach a certain age, it's your turn to go be the hero of your own life. And this story, it starts out depressing, but it's all about Sam looking backwards. He can't let go of what his dad is doing, what his dad is up to, what happened to him, what his dad's company is up to, how can he fix and change that? His whole life is consumed about how his folks are. And in this story, he sort of gets his dad's blessing to move on with his life or go start it. And I think that's why the ending is so hopeful. However, sort of gloomy, the grid is gloomy. They made it out to be a dark place. It's a constant storm cloud, and when you get to the end of this story, it's sunrise. They're lifting out of something, and then there's something bright and hopeful, a bright, hopeful future. And Sam is riding off into the sunrise, not sunset. So, I think that's Tron Legacy. Is some sort of uh, I don't know. Is some sort of get on with your life, or I don't know. Is some sort of I don't want to say leaving the nest because it starts out looking like a murder investigation. This story, I think, is some sort of best the best case scenario of mind your own business. It's some kind of live your own life, and a parent's wish is for you to have a happy life, or I don't know. Is understood though. It's some sort of you can't live your parents' life. That's probably the best way to put it. But it's more I have to figure it out if I write the essay. That's you can't live your parents' life, but it's a little more hopeful than that. It's said a little more hopeful. There's joy at the end of this movie. And the one thing that sticks out is that they made Tron 3, and there's some info in Tron 3 that I got wrong. And that's where Incom is. Apparently, I thought two separate companies were built. Incom, there's just Incom. I thought Incom switched hands over to. No, I thought Flynn built a second company that was rivaling Incom. There's just 1 grid. 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 1 grid Flynn built a back door at the basement of his arcade. Flynn, that giant warehouse building with all those computers and the lab technicians in the laser. Flynn put all of that in his garage so that he can zip back and forth and play around. Flynn's pretty neat. Um, all right, I like I like Tron. This is this is I'm gonna say it's a type of Jiro Dreams of Sushi. Jiro Jiro still dreams of sushi.
Tron.